Springtime market has hit the low country, and we're going to bring you up to speed on what's been happening with statistics through the end of February and talk about the secret inventory in our marketplace and how that works with buyers and sellers in our market. All right, Chris, so here we are in the middle of March, working our way towards April, if you can believe it or not. And we're looking at the data of what's happened sort of year to date through statistically through February. And here's the thing, it's still a robust market, but we've been talking about how inventory is down. And when you've got less inventory, there's fewer transactions that can take place. So here's the stats on that. Pending sales year to date are down about 16% compared to this time last year. Now, this time last year, we were still in the sort of latter part of that COVID market where things are red hot. Closings are down 31% from this time last year. So quieter market, fewer transactions happening out there. And then part of that, as we just mentioned, is that the number of new listings that are on the market is down 11% compared to this time last year. So we want to talk about this, what I sort of call secret inventory that we've been working with for the last 3.5 years, but it seems like we're still educating people on what this listing delay status in the MLS is and what that means to buyers and sellers on both sides of the equation, right? So let's talk statistically right now. And when people think what's for sale in the market, they're going on the MLS site, they're going to collinsgrouprealty.com, they're going to Zillow, etc., right? That's where they see the active status listings. What is listing delay? Like, why are they not seeing these secret listings that you and I and other brokers are able to see?
Well, listing delay is a status in the MLS that was put because of the Association of Realtors. They wanted, as soon as somebody signs a listing agreement, they want it available to all the brokers in the MLS. It's the best for the seller, it's the best for buyers, it's the best for the market.
Right.
What they don't want is a listing to hit a listing agreement to be signed, and a seller thinks they're going to market, but then the agent is slow or whatever the process is, and it doesn't actually reach the market for a period of time, and no one else knows it's coming.
Either they did that on purpose, or they just did it because they were slow in their motion. That's what people, if you ever hear the term pocket listing, that's kind of that old school approach where some agents are like, listen, I'm going to list this, I'm going to take it back to the office, and we'll see if we can sell it ourselves. MLS, NAR, etc., they say, not a good practice. And so there's a rule that basically any listing agreement, if you're a participating member in the MLS, any listing agreement's got to go entered into the system by the end of the next day. It's quick, right?
Yes, very quick. And here's the thing, listing inventory, this inventory that we have in our MLS, it's not just in our MLS, but it's in Beaufort, in the Beaufort MLS, and it's even in the Charleston MLS,
right?
Which we're a member of all three. And right now in Hilton Head, Beaufort, and Charleston, there's 120 properties available for sale right now that the public doesn't really know about unless their agent has got on the phone and called them.
Yeah, because they're in that listing delay, or we kind of like to call the coming soon status, right? So you got 120 listings that if you're out there right now, you're kind of looking and waiting for the right property to come on the market, and you're searching, you're not seeing it.
You're not seeing it. And a lot of times, have you ever got the phone call, Chip, where somebody says, hey, I want to go look at this property, but as soon as I called my agent right after I saw it on Zillow,
right,
and it's already under contract. How did that happen? You know, there was over 20 houses, or 20 properties year to date so far in 2023, in the first quarter of 2023, that sold while in listing delay.
Right, so basically what that resolves as like 0 days on market, 1 day on market. Like I never got a chance as a consumer.
Right.
So thinking about that on the consumer and the buyer side, thinking about how does listing delay, how could that be advantageous? I think the key component is, since listing delay listings, these 120 that we've seen across these three MLSs just today, just as we're looking at it, the exposure of the availability of that information is only broker to broker, right? You and anybody at Collins Group and somebody at ABC Realty, etc. They're the only ones that see it. It doesn't display out on the internet on these other sites.
Yeah, and not every broker, every real estate agent seems to be actively pursuing this and looking at it. We only see a certain number of agents that are constantly monitoring this MLS listing and picking up the phone and calling people and telling them.
Right. So one of the things we talk about is that we obsess on listing delay. Like we're looking at this listing status, we're renewing it. I mean, you got 2 pages worth of listings right there that are just showing today. And so we obsess on that, and we do that when we represent buyers, because that level of agency, that level of representation says we're going to dig, we're going to find everything we possibly can, which listing delay can be a gold mine for that, because for a buyer, if it's not displayed out on all the websites, right, and you're a buyer that's got an exclusive buyer agent that's representing you, and they're looking at listing delay, how many other buyers are really seeing this? Your answer is not a lot, because not all agents are on top of it that way. So that's where the advantage could be, because you might be able to kind of slide in, present an offer before the rest of the market globally kind of is aware of that listing.
Yeah, it gives buyers an opportunity to pick something up before it hits the open market, which is great for a buyer that's really watching something. If they have something in particular they're really focused in on, it really helps. But Chip, it's also really a strategic place to hold for just a short period of time for a seller.
All right, so you're thinking about now the seller side of it. So seller side of it is kind of cool, because if you had to rush to active status right after you signed a listing agreement, by the end of the next day, how do you have a proper, what we call, launch of a listing?
It's impossible.
You can't do it, because you can't get all your ducks in a row, all your marketing materials, your videography, photography, virtual tours, drone imagery, all that strategy pulled together. You can't do it in a compressed period of time. So listing delay, you're actually allowed to hang out in for, I think, up to 30 days or so. So how does that end up becoming strategic for a seller? Beyond just having more breathing room, but what else does that let them kind of experience?
It gives an opportunity for a seller to just have a presence in the market, right off the bat. So a couple things. One is agents that are tracking listing delay and have active buyers. Does the phone ring? Right. Do agents call and say, hey, I saw this come on listing delay. I actually have a buyer that's been waiting for a property like that. We need to get in early. So that's good to know, to see, kind of test the temperature a little bit.
Yeah. Like sellers that can like dip their toe in the water, right? So you could have a situation where in that sort of test period while you're getting your ducks in a row, etc., if the phone's ringing off the hook, you're like, well, we got a hot one, right? But then there could be the other situation where it's crickets. Like, wow, we're in listing delay and nobody's calling on this listing. That could help a seller or maybe a listing agent determine, do we need to maybe reevaluate? Maybe we came at a little bit of a high price, and before we go to the open market, maybe we need to change a strategy.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention was just leverage, seller leverage. It's so important. When you have a property and you put it in listing delay, you don't have to show it. You don't have to open it up for showings in listing delay. It's your prerogative as a seller. But the leverage you have, because if a buyer comes to you while you're in listing delay and says, hey, I want to buy this property, the negotiations don't have, why would you negotiate much off your list price? Or why would you do that? Because you haven't even hit the open market yet.
Right.
So it better be a really strong
buy it now,
compelling offer.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so not all listings, though, kind of thinking about it globally, not all listings go in listing delay, right? Some of them will go immediately to active. Maybe they've just got a couple pictures, or maybe they had their ducks in a row early and they went right to active status. What else about listing delay are we typically seeing in terms of how people should be thinking about it, other strategies, or how agents operate within it?
Well, you don't want to stay in listing delay all that long. This is not a place to camp out.
Right.
Okay, this is really just step one in your strategy to come to market, to launch to market.
Yeah.
It's really important. We've talked about things like this before, but every time you ping the market, it triggers eyeballs. So you're pinging the market in listing delay, and then you're pinging the market again in active status. But when you ping that market the second time, it's going out everywhere.
Right.
And you're ready for it.
Yeah, so it's really listing delay, in summary, I think, is something that, 3.5 years ago, we early adopted it, and we kind of cut their, I think sort of the new status cut their teeth on our listings, because we were really one of the first to adopt it and utilize it. It, like anything else, can be a tool. It can be a great tool if you're a buyer's agent looking for a buyer and you're just trying to find that perfect property. The minute it hits listing delay, maybe not all agents are seeing it, you can jump on the phone and get with your buyer, etc. And for a seller, it gives them an opportunity to not have to rush to market get their ducks in a row, but also maybe test the market out a little bit before they come together. So it really comes down to how the tool is used by the agents.
Well said.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You got it. That's our secret inventory lesson for today. As always, we appreciate your time, your interest. Hey, if you know somebody to be interested in this content, make sure that they are paying attention to our YouTube channel and ask them to subscribe.